Hi my beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl 𝕻𝖊𝖉𝖎𝖆, and today I have this nail set for you. It's like decorative, with a little splat and some ombre. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we are about to jump into this video, and follow me on my social media. All right, so the first thing that I'm doing, she did have so I do only color acrylic now. I no longer do gel. So she wanted to take the whole set off, and typically, I could just file down, but honestly, my shaping has kind of improved since the last time I did her nails. So I really wanted to do a new set anyway. So now I'm just putting on my tips with my young nails. It's not the one with the handle. I don't like the one that you squirt all the glues. I like the one with the brush on glue. And yeah, you want to make sure that you are putting on your nail tips straight. I have been doing really, really good with this in the past couple weeks. So all you have to do is just make sure that your client's hand is completely straight, their body is straight. I'm learning that when they're like slanted or like slouching a little bit, that their hand tends to turn. So you just want to make sure that you're turning your client's hand, because they're not paying attention, and you don't want to hurt your hand or hurt your body trying to overextend your hand or whatever. So right now I'm cutting down the tips. I like to use scissors to cut down my tips in shape. I always ask my clients, how long do you want them? And then I take the ring finger and size it up with the pinky. And then from there, I can typically just tell, okay, where I need to cut. And I always go in to cut the sides if they want coffin or stiletto, just so it saves time. This definitely does cut down a lot of time, instead of like cutting down all the nails at once, then having to go back and cut down the shape that they want, and then go back and file all the nails. So I try to I've been trying to minimize the time as much as possible, and I can honestly say my time has been cut down a lot. So with cutting down your tips, you kind of just have to eyeball it a little bit. Like after a while, you just like, it's like second nature. Eventually you'll just get to a point where it's just like boom, 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 and you're no longer overthinking and like looking over them again. You can always tell when nails are a little longer than they should be, but you kind of want to make sure that you are going in and sizing up, taking your hand and like sizing up to the other hand, just so you don't have two different like lengths on nails, because I used to have a habit of that. So yeah, just pay attention and make sure that you're not like having a person walk out with two different lengths. So again, I'm just cutting down the sides of the nails, and you don't want to overcut the sides of the nails, because if you overcut, it's gonna look crazy. So when I'm cutting, I'm also sizing up, like I'm lining it up to the side walls of their nails. So yeah, so I keep the end of the scissors on their sides of their natural nail. And you can always bring in the scissors a little extra, but I don't like to do that because it's kind of like it's a little scary, because you don't want to take too much off the nail and you have to redo the whole nail. So yeah, so when I'm shaping, as always, I kind of like to shape with my file going up and down. It's easier for me, and I feel like I don't take off too much of the artificial nail when I do this. I don't really know how to explain it. So, and I'm also blending the tip. I don't like using my e-file to blend the tip. I feel like it takes extra time when I can just easily go in with my hand file and do the same thing. And I feel like I blend it better with my hand file anyway. So yeah, so like I said, when I'm filing, I go up and down, and then I go in to blending the tip. Blending the tip, I do it because there's sometimes where the artificial nail did not like glue all the way, and you don't want any air bubbles, any air pockets in your tip, just because that'll cause lifting and you could potentially have a nail pop off. So that's why I prefer to do that, and I can like see everything. When I'm doing the e-file, I really can't see that much because one, tips don't always match up to a person's nail, and there's always space where it could have adhered but it didn't. So instead of going in with more glue, I just go with my file and file off like the pieces that did not glue. And this will make more sense if you like actually go in and like apply a tip and see, oh, it didn't apply here, instead of going in with more glue. Unless it's like really, really bad, I don't go in with more glue. If it's just the sides of the nails that are not like on all the way, I just go with my file and file off the rest. So I'm going to leave this powder in the description box. I actually purchased some Glam and Glitz from my local nail supply store, and I've really, really been liking them. I was a huge fan of IGel Beauty's colored acrylic / dip powder, but some of them kind of suck, just because they're not all meant to go with acrylic. Some are best used just for dip. So you kind of have to be careful and pay attention to that if you do buy the dipping powder from IGel Beauty, because you can use it as acrylic powder, but just beware that some of them don't lay all correctly. But now they have on their website like which one goes better with which. So yeah. Oh, and I always take a clear bead of acrylic on the natural nail, just so there's absolutely no lifting, to minimize lifting. I never just go on a bare nail with colored acrylic, because I don't have time for clients to come back saying they had lifting and it'd be my fault. So yeah, and I'm always cleaning on the sides of the nails to minimize lifting as well, so you don't have to do no over filing when you get to filing. So I was going off of a picture, and you can kind of see like her phone. So on the picture, it had like an ombre nail. It had like this marble going on. It was really, really fun. And I haven't done like a set like this in a minute, besides the stiletto tips that I just did. So whenever I do ombre, I always start from the tip with the colored. That's the easiest way. I never start with the color on near the cuticle area and then try to work my way up, because it never blends correctly. So yeah, so now I am encapsulating that colored acrylic. I just do this just because, again, I don't like building my nail with colored acrylic. I like to add structure with my core acrylic by Young Nails. My acrylic system is Young Nails, by the way, if you guys have been wondering. And my brush is from Panda, and I get that from eBay. I try to stick to the one bead method, but for the most part, there's sometimes where I have to go back in and add some more acrylic in places. So yeah. And again, I am encapsulating the nail, my thumbnail. Well, it's not my nail, but it's hers. And I'm always patting the nail. I don't really typically slide, like brush on the brush until I get to like the tip and there's excess. I feel like when you're swiping the brush, you're taking off a lot of more acrylic than you need to. So I always tell people to pat that brush, do not slide. And patting to me builds up like I said, when you're wiping the acrylic on the nail, you're taking off more acrylic. But when you're patting, you're actually like building the nail and making sure that there's like no bumps or lumps or anything. So yeah, try not to wipe the acrylic, try to pat. So now we are going back in with that colored, and we are ombreing the nail. So I always start with the second color towards the edge of the first color, and I always make sure I have a nice wet bead. This is the only time that I slide acrylic on the nail. Well, one of a couple times that I slide on the nail. And you just want to make sure with this part that you're taking a nice, not too wet where it's like leaking everywhere and flowing everywhere, but wet to the point where it can blend and move around. So as you see, like, I'm moving her hand because they don't be paying attention, bruh. And so yeah, so again, I'm just adding a little bit more of that colored acrylic around the cuticle area, just so everything looks seamless and perfect. You know what I mean? Period. And you just, keep adding that second colored acrylic until it gets to your desired ombre. If you're adding too much of the second color, you can always take your brush and kind of slide it a little bit while it's still wet, and then go back and add some more, because that's what happened on the second finger. I only show one hand just because I don't want my videos to be like extremely long. So yeah, and then as always, I encapsulate that stuff with colored acrylic. So right now I am taking some foil. I just cut it up. Oh wait, no, I lied. So right now I am taking clear acrylic and I'm taking the blue acrylic and I'm marbling it. What I did was just take a bead of clear acrylic, laid that down, and then took a really, really, really wet bead of blue acrylic, and I just swirled it around until I got that like marble effect. And as you see, like, the picture in the background that I was going off of. And now I'm just adding some foil pieces. What I literally did was took some transfer foil and cut it up into pieces, because it matched up. And that foil I actually got from my local nail supply store. I honestly don't even know if they sell it anymore. So yeah, and then now I'm taking some foil and I'm just breaking it up into pieces. And I am taking that brush. Whenever I pick up foil, I kind of take like a nice moist brush. It's never dry. It's easier to pick it up that way. And as you see, I'm just taking my scissors and cutting up some more of the foil, and I'm adding it to the nail. You kind of just have to use your brush to work with the foil to like move it around a little bit. Sometimes it'll get kind of stuck, so you kind of have to like maneuver it really quickly. If you don't move it quickly, it's just gonna stick there. And so yeah, I try to move it around before it like really settles in, because it's harder to move that way. And right now I'm just taking my scissors and cutting down some of that transfer foil because it was hanging off and I didn't feel like filing it when it was time to file. So now I am about to go back in and add some clear acrylic to the nail, just to make sure that design does not go anywhere and it stays there completely. So as you see, like I said, I always pat the nail. I do not slide. It's like one or two situations that I do slide. And that's when there's like too much acrylic on the tip of the nail. So I kind of have to like slide the remainder off. But for the most part, when I'm trying to build the nail, I am patting the nail. And you want to always make sure that you're cleaning that cuticle area, so there's no acrylic built up on the cuticle. You don't want to have, I say, make sure you're always watching what you're doing, so you don't have to go back and file and spend a whole lot of time filing, because no one has time for that. I promise. I surely don't. And you want to make sure that there's no acrylic on the cuticle, because if you have to go back and file that off, it's like it's disrupting their skin. Like, you don't want to be injuring your client, bro. So just make sure that you're not applying no acrylic on their cuticle. So I'm going to do a video eventually of how, laying acrylic completely by itself with no designs, because I feel like that's really essential to know. So that video is coming soon. Just stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. So as you see right now, I'm swiping the brush. I really don't know why I was doing that. I can't remember. Okay, the reason I was swiping the brush this time was just because, again, there was too much acrylic at the tip. So I didn't want to pat it and add more thickness to that part of the nail. And right now you saw me pat, and then I swiped because there was, again, too much acrylic at the tip. So I wanted to get that excess off. So now I'm just doing the same thing that I did for the other, like, design nail. I'm laying down some acrylic and then taking some blue and just swirling it around. Marbling is probably like the easiest design. People go crazy over it. And you can add like different colors. What I usually do with marbling is I just take a bead of the different colors and I mix them in. But with clear and blue, it really didn't work because clear is clear and it doesn't work like that. So, you just gotta take a wet bead, swirl that baby around, and you got a marbled nail with some clear acrylic, and it looks really amazing. And then again, I'm just taking my transfer foil, laying it down. And I was pretty much going off of the picture. She wanted exactly like the picture, so yeah. I don't know who this picture is from. She sent it to me. This was not my idea. So yeah, if you're out there, thank you so much for this nail design. It was beautiful. I just don't know who did it because she didn't send me that. She just found it on Instagram or like Pinterest or something. I'm not sure. So don't come for me if you know who did the design, because she sent it to me. This was a recreation. I had to not make up this design. So this one was like kind of blowing me because it wasn't moving the way I needed it to move, but that's all right. And it also wasn't laying down. So again, I'm just now encapsulating that nail and putting some clear acrylic over top. So when it's time to actually go back in and like redo these nails, I'm just going to use a very coarse bit to get this down on a very high RPM, just to file that down. And I can always just take another colored acrylic over certain nails, like the blue nails. I can file it down to a point where it gets thin and just apply another color, just so I'm not sitting there and trying to file down, because you don't want to soak off nails too much because it can be damaging to the client's skin. So I try not to soak off too many times, but if you say you want to soak off, girl, go get your soak off. You paying for it, whatever. So now I am filing down the sides. I always peel the skin away from the nail, just so, again, there's no lifting. You want to prevent lifting. Anything can cause lifting, bruh. If you don't file enough, if there's acrylic still in the nail, it's a lot. So I always go in with my hand file over top of the nail. So as you see me, I'm taking my finger and gliding it along the nail just to feel for where the lumps and bumps were. I don't like spending a lot of extra time filing. And I get my lumps and bumps if there's any unevenness in the nail. I like to use my hand file for that. I don't like using my drill. I feel like the drill really, it doesn't smooth out the nail how I want. And it happens a lot, lumps and bumps, when I do like a design like this, just because the acrylic kind of settles in weirdly when there's an encapsulation. And I always take my file and go up and down on the tip just to get that sharpness. I go up and down on the sides again just to get that sharpness. And I always kind of take the nail file inward, like a 90-degree angle, just to get under that nail so it's not like fat under there. It blends in nicely with the nail, with the person's finger and everything, and it looks natural. And it also has been helping me with my shaping, but you don't want to do this too much to the point where you're filing, the nail actually starts to look like curved and like not as sharp as you want it. So do it in increments. Like, don't do too much where it gets like, you know, really, really funny looking. But for the most part, for my shaping, I just take my file up and down because that's how I get my sharpness. Other people file differently. You kind of just, I feel like doing nails is not one set way. You kind of just have to figure out what you're comfortable with. This is how I file. And making sure that you're not filing too much to the point where you're taking too much nail down. And as always, I'm going in with the belly of my file and just going over that and, you know, smoothing everything out. And also going on the sides of the nails to get the excess of acrylic off, if any. I be checking like 10 times to make sure there's no like lumps or bumps. I don't want anybody to walk out and say that they had lumpy nails. That's what you won't do. And right now I'm going in with IGel Beauty's clear no wipe top coat. I don't like white top coats. I feel like it's unnecessary and it's not as shiny as no wipe. For me, you can use whatever you want, but I'm using the no wipe by IGel Beauty. It's my favorite right now. And then I am going to cure that for 60 seconds. And I always, if I apply too much clear to the sides of the nails, I go in and I wipe the edges because you don't want anything to take away from the shape. And try not to like over apply clear top coat because you don't want it to wrinkle up in the lamp. So guys, this is at the end of the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any nail ideas or want to see certain things, let me know. I will be showing you guys my nail school kit very, very soon, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, bye guys.